born with powers that make them feared, hated, and hunted. But when the world's fate is on the line, heroes rise. Today, we're diving into the legendary story of the X-Men, betrayal, sacrifice, and battles that shape the future of humanity. Let's recap from beta-level mutants to omega-level mutants.
I am Psylocke. I am a beta-level mutant. My most iconic ability is to weaponize psychic energy. With just a thought, I can create weapons in any form. I also possess telepathy. I can create psychic illusions. I make enemies see things that are not real. At first, I worked for Caliban. My main duty was to maintain order in Caliban's underground market. But then Apocalypse awakened. He wanted to rebuild the world order. He wanted to reshape the world to be ruled by the strong. The first step was to recruit the Four Horsemen. Earlier, he'd already recruited Storm. Storm led Apocalypse through the underground world of Cairo to meet Caliban, and it was in Caliban's territory that he found me. At first, I stayed on guard and conjured weapons. What do you want?
I want you to feel the full reach of your power. I want to set you free.
Then Apocalypse rolled his eyes and infused me with his ancient mutant energy. I felt my power multiply several times over. I readily agreed to join his ranks. Finally, we marched with Apocalypse into battle. During the fight with Beast, I showcased my martial arts to perfection. Then, depending on the battle, I transformed it into a powerful energy whip. Beast, known for his strength and speed, struggled against me. He nearly died at my hands. In truth, I have mind intrusion rivaling Professor X. I can read anyone's thoughts with ease, even Red Tank, but keep his distance from me. Because not only do I have telepathy, but the weapons I conjure are made of psychic energy. They do not just harm the body. Most terrifyingly, they can inflict lasting psychological trauma on the victim.
And what can you do? So, you have talent.
I know you control metal. I am Callisto. I am usually classified as a beta-level mutant. I have extraordinary night vision. I can see clearly in complete darkness. In the movie, I can sense the presence and power levels of other mutants. It's a mutant, class 5, more powerful than anything I've ever felt. But what I am most proud of is my superhuman speed and reflexes. I am also the leader of the underground mutant group, Morlock. Meanwhile, Magneto organized a mutant army to resist. I chose to follow Magneto, becoming his scout and vanguard, helping to locate and provoke the X-Men. We engaged in fierce battle with the X-Men. At first, Storm slammed me into a building. In the confined space, I used my super speed and struck her so she could not fight back. During the battle on Alcatraz Island, I served as a vanguard, helping Magneto launch an attack on the Cure research facility. The X-Men arrived, trying to stop us. We clashed violently. I saw Storm about to unleash her power and ascend. I quickly leaped onto the roof. Then jumped down, catching Storm and slamming her to the ground. Her attack was interrupted by me. At first, I used my speed advantage to kick her, but she seemed to anticipate my position and punched me down. I was dazed. Oriented. Then she threw me against the iron bars and unleashed her lightning attack. I could not withstand it, and smoke started coming out of my mouth. Some might compare me to Nightcrawler, because our abilities seem similar, but we are clearly different. He can teleport through space, even through solid objects in certain situations. In terms of speed, he far surpasses me. I, on the other hand, have superior senses and close combat experience. In the end, if Nightcrawler and I fought, who do you think would be the last one standing?
I am Wolverine. I am a beta-level mutant.
You right in here?
Yeah, I'm fine. I may not be one of the highest ranked mutants, but when the team takes on dangerous missions, I am always the one charging at the front. The reason I am fearless is because of my extraordinary healing power. That is my core mutant ability. Whether it is blades cutting into me or bullets piercing through me, none of these ordinary wounds can kill me. Even when Jean Grey unleashed the Phoenix Force, tearing me apart, my body still healed. But in the beginning, I only had fragile bone claws. Back then, I was weak, too weak to protect the ones I cared about. My own brother was twisted in his mind. Just to prove he was stronger, he would torment or kill the people around me every year on my birthday. He turned my birthday into a nightmare. And on one of those cursed birthdays, he found my wife sitting in the car. By the time I arrived, she was already gone. I was drowning in grief and hatred when I found my brother. I unleashed my bone claws and fought him, but in the end, I could not defeat him. He stomped on my claws and snapped them in half. Yet that pain was nothing compared to losing my wife. To grow stronger, to take revenge, I chose to accept Stryker's Weapon X experiment. I lay on the cold operating table. As the switch was thrown, I was submerged into icy water. Countless needles pierced my skin, digging into every single bone. The next second, adamantium was pumped into my body. The agony was unbearable. My heartbeat raced faster and faster. My body temperature soared higher and higher. Everyone in the room grew tense. Then the monitor flatlined. They thought the experiment had failed. But my heart started again. Stryker was overjoyed. He wanted to turn me into a soulless killing machine. He even prepared to wipe my memories clean. But with my sharp hearing, I caught every word.
I think he heard you.
I tore free of my restraints. For the first time, I felt unstoppable power flooding my body. They opened fire on me. The bullets were nothing more than scratches. I cut them down one by one with ease. With adamantium claws, shredded steel plates as if they were paper, and I plunged into the lake and escaped. Shattered and lost, I wandered until I found an old couple's farm.
I think there's a naked man in the barn.
You.
The kind-hearted man welcomed me and offered me a place to stay. That night, I stared at my new claws in the bathroom mirror. Compared to my old bone claws, these metal blades were far deadlier. The next morning, the old man handed me his son's leather jacket. He saw right through my troubled heart, but just as he tried to comfort me,
I brought you some.
a bullet tore into his wife's chest. It was Stryker's men who had found me. A helicopter launched missiles at the house. At the last second, I jumped onto a motorcycle and blasted out. Under a storm of bullets, I twisted the throttle and sped deep into the forest. I managed to dodge the first wave, but an armored truck kept chasing me, and it closed in. I slashed out with my claws and ripped their gun to pieces. But the helicopter came back down after me. I drew my claws, turned sharply, and charged right toward them. And another armored truck blocked my path. I leapt onto its roof and drove my claws deep inside. At that moment, the helicopter fired another missile. The explosion threw me high into the air. I swung my claws with all my strength and sliced through the rotor blades. The chopper lost power and crashed into the ground. I walked over and looked at the badly injured agent. At first, I thought of sparing him, but he sneered, spitting out insults. That was the last straw. I extended my claws and dragged them across the ground. The sparks ignited the gasoline all around us, and my road to vengeance had only just begun.
Hold me down.
I am Juggernaut. I am not a mutant in the traditional sense. I once stumbled upon the red gem of the god Sitarak while in the army. The moment I touched it, I gained the power of the avatar of Sitarak. That is how I became the Juggernaut. My main abilities are limitless strength and near invincible defense. Once I charge in a direction, even the Hulk would struggle to block me head on. But my defense against psychic attacks is weak. That is why I wear a massive helmet. This helmet can effectively block some psychic intrusions. Of course, I also have a fatal weakness. I may have immense power in my body, but my intelligence does not match it. Earth was the mastermind behind this revolt. He needed a large group of mutants to fight for him. That is when he found me and freed me from captivity.
What do they call you?
Juggernaut.
I can't imagine why.
You can let me out of here, I need a pee. To show my gratitude, I joined Magneto as his loyal enforcer. Later, I was ordered to capture a boy codenamed Leech. He has the power to suppress the abilities of mutants around him. He is also the key to the government's mutant cure. At that moment, Kitty Pryde, who can phase through objects, tried to stop me by embedding me in cement.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
It barely slowed me down. I broke free and went after her. She can walk through walls, so I simply charged right through them. In the end, she still outsmarted me. After she found the boy, her powers failed and she could not get him to safety. I came charging right at her. She mocked me and I angrily rushed forward, but my power was suppressed. I knocked myself out. Later, I was imprisoned again. This time, a fire-controlling boy named Russell freed me. I smashed the bridge with a single punch. Finally, Russell and I climbed out the rubble. From that moment on, I considered him my friend. We planned to go after the head of Essex House. He had bullied Russell in the past, but Deadpool and Colossus arrived to stop us.
Hey! Pick on someone your own size.
That's such a you thing to say. Go get him, Tiger! Big CGI fight coming up!
Colossus, with his steel body and incredible defense, was still no match for me. I pummeled him relentlessly. But that guy learned a dirty
I am Sunspot. My real name is Roberto da Costa. I can absorb and store solar energy. That energy boosts my strength, speed, endurance. I can unleash it from my body, form a blazing fire. I can even heat the air around me and take flight. But when my powers first awakened, I made a mistake I can never take back. I lost control of the energy inside me, and in one awful moment, I burned my girlfriend alive. Since then, I've been afraid to use my powers. I started to wonder if I was still human or already a monster. My father always believed my powers were a disease, so he sent me to a secret facility run by the Essex Corporation. He said it was for treatment, but I knew better. It was just another cage. Back then, I didn't have full control. If I couldn't absorb sunlight, my energy would drain away fast. But as I got older, my metabolism grew stronger. Eventually, I could even draw power from light at night. My cells can absorb all forms of solar radiation, store them deep inside me, and release them when needed. The more energy I absorb, the stronger I become. When I get angry, that power surges with my emotions. Then came the demon bear. To protect the people I cared about, I faced it alone, swallowing my fear. But it was nighttime and I hadn't learned to use moonlight yet. Before long, my flames burned out. All that was left was my pitch black skin, a mark left by the solar energy still pulsing in my cells. Even without the flames, that moment was the first time I truly felt my own strength. Not borrowed, not out of control. It was mine. After that, I wasn't the same scared kid anymore. I led the charge, taking down more sentinels than anyone. But with their numbers and their ability to replicate, even I couldn't hold them all forever. Eventually, they brought me down, and I don't regret it, because I finally fought to the very end. People like to compare me to Johnny Storm, but the truth is, we're nothing alike. His powers came from cosmic radiation. He can turn his whole body into fire, fly through the sky, throw flames, and whip up firestorms. Controls heat like it's second nature. I'll give him that. Maybe he's got the edge in the looks department.
Kurt, get in there.
I am Angel. I born into the wealthy Worthington family. From a young age, I was the proud and handsome rich kid living a life's many envy. I have a pair of large white wings, able to fly fast through the sky, with lungs and eyesight far beyond normal. But among mutants, I was often seen as the least powerful. When I was a kid, wings suddenly grew from my back. To hide my wings, I kept trimming them with scissors, sometimes cutting off feathers, bleeding and in pain, just to look like a normal kid. When my father found out, he was shocked and full of guilt.
Oh, God. Not you.
Dad, I'm sorry.
He poured money into researching a cure, hoping I could be normal again. The day the cure was ready,
You ready?
I stood before the needle, heart filled with doubt. In the end, I refused the injection, choosing to accept who I really am.
Warren, it's a better life. It's what we all want. It's what you want.
I broke through the window, spread my wings, and for the first time, felt proud to have them. But good times didn't last. My family's fortune faded, and I fell from rich heir to gladiator, fighting other mutants just to survive. In one fight, I faced Nightcrawler, who could teleport, and I couldn't catch him. Worse, the arena was surrounded by electric fences. He struck me from behind, pinning me against the shocks. Electricity burned my wings. The wings I once loved were completely destroyed. Mystique helped me escape, but I felt broken inside, like a useless freak. Then the ancient Apocalypse awoke, looking for his 4 horsemen. Psylocke brought him to me. He saw potential in me and gave me new power.
I want to give you something.
There's nothing you can give me that I want.
Yes, there is.
The change was painful. I screamed as my feathers turned metal, coated with a steel-like substance, hard and razor sharp.
Rise,
My angel.
With a flick, my feathers shot out like blades, sharp enough to pierce steel. From then on, I became the fallen Death Angel, one of Apocalypse's 4 horsemen. We followed Apocalypse, vowing to destroy the old world and build a new one ruled by mutants. In the final battle, I faced Nightcrawler again, determined to settle the score. But even with my new powers, I couldn't catch him. He teleported right next to me and took me high above the ship. Before I could steady myself, and I crashed to the ground, losing my...
That's cool. I am Gambit. I am an alpha level mutant. I can charge objects with kinetic energy, turning them into explosive weapons. Playing cards are my weapon of choice. They're not only easy to carry, but also look damn cool when I play. Charged playing cards explode on impact, and the power they pack is nothing short of terrifying. Of course, a staff is another weapon I often use. I was once held captive in Strucker's lab. After escaping, I learned the exact location of the lab and how to get in.
Are you Remy LeBeau?
Do I owe you money?
No.
Then Remy LeBeau I am.
Wolverine came to me, wanting to find Strucker and stop him from continuing his cruel experiments on mutants. At first, I didn't trust him.
Those are mighty nice tags you have on there, sir. The man who took me wore tags just like them.
Now, Bub, you listen to me.
I hit him with a dazzling card trick that sent him flying outside. I'm pretty sure he was stunned by how damn cool my card play was. After 2 intense fights, Wolverine and I finally cleared up our misunderstandings. I led him to Strucker's lab. When Wolverine took out Deadpool and dropped down from a great height, a wall came crashing down on him. Luckily, I used my staff to save him from the danger.
You miss me?
On top of that, I have a natural ability to block mental intrusion, creating a barrier around my mind. This means that as long as my powers are active, no one can spy on or control my thoughts. At my peak, even the legendary Professor X couldn't touch me.
I am Havoc. I am an alpha level mutant. I can absorb cosmic energy from my surroundings and store it within my body. I can unleash plasma energy blasts from any part of my body. I usually fire from my chest and arms. The blasts I release are incredibly powerful. They can destroy armored vehicles and even entire buildings. I am immune to most forms of heat and radiation. At my peak, I could even destroy a small star. In my early days, I struggled to control my powers. I often accidentally harmed my teammates. I was reckless and full of youthful arrogance. Then Black King wanted to establish a new world under his rule. He began recruiting mutants. Eventually, he came after us.
My friends, there's a revolution coming. The enslaved will rise up to rule.
We refused to bow down. Darwin and I teamed up to fight Black King.
Alex, get out! Do it!
Darwin would step in to prevent my blast from hurting our team. When I fired a plasma blast at Black King, he absorbed my energy. He then forced the energy into Darwin. Darwin was destroyed by the very power I had unleashed. Professor X realized the world faced the threat of Black King and the Hellfire Club. He began training our team. Because my powers were so wild, even after repeated training, I could not fully control them. Beast specially designed a power regulator for me. It helped me a great deal. With Professor X's careful guidance and repeated practice, I gradually mastered my abilities more skillfully. Later, Apocalypse awakened. He posed a new threat to the world. He wanted to reshape the world and let the strong rule. He began recruiting powerful mutants to serve as his lieutenants. Apocalypse knew Professor X had telepathic abilities. He could read and control the minds of others. Apocalypse wanted to use Professor X to increase his power and control. He kidnapped Professor X outright. I wanted to rescue my mentor. I unleashed a massive plasma blast at Apocalypse and his allies, but my blast caused a huge explosion. The explosion destroyed almost the entire Mutant Academy. I disappeared in the blast. Fortunately, Quicksilver arrived quickly. He saved most of the mutants from certain death. You know, I could easily absorb such energy. Do you think I really died in the end?
Back off.
Do you?
I am Pyro. I am an alpha level mutant. I can control the shape and temperature of flames at will. I cannot create fire out of thin air. I can only manipulate existing flames. That is why I often carry a lighter. This allows me to have a fire source at any time. Because of this, my powers have not reached Omega level, but that does not affect my confidence. I have always considered myself one of the top fighters. That is why I have always looked down on Iceman. When Nightcrawler broke into the White House and almost assassinated the president, the government labeled it a mutant terrorist attack. They quickly mobilized forces to hunt us down. Wolverine was shot in the head and went down instantly. Seeing this, everyone else had no choice but to lie down and surrender. At that moment, I had reached my limit. You know all those dangerous mutants you hear about on the news? I'm the worst one. I flicked my lighter and ignited flames. I used my powers to attack with precision. Police on the scene were quickly taken down. Kitty Pryde, seeing my destructive power, grabbed my feet to weaken me, and the flames slowly went out. At Professor Charles Xavier's academy, I always felt like I was treated like a student, controlled and suppressed.
The next time you feel like showing off, don't.
The professor taught everyone to restrain their powers, but I wanted to release mine to prove myself. Magneto acknowledged my abilities.
Got a talent, you have that power.
I can only manipulate the fire. I can't create it.
You are a god among insects. Never let anyone tell you different.
In the end, I chose to join his side. Later, in coordination with Magneto, he would throw cars, and I would ignite them, hurl them into the battlefield. The feeling was incredible. Finally, Magneto made me face Iceman. I had been dominating him before, so I was confident I could beat him this time. As the ignition device activated, our duel officially began. At first, I continued to crush Iceman. I started mocking him.
You're in over your head, Bobby. Maybe you should go back to school.
I was about to win when Iceman suddenly changed his form. He showed no fear of the flames, grabbed my hands, and slammed me into the ground.
You never should have left.
Some might compare me to Sunspot. I do not need to say it. I already know I cannot match him. He can absorb and store solar energy and use it to enhance his strength, speed, and endurance. Most importantly, he can exist in a flame form, creating and releasing fire by himself. He can even heat the surrounding air currents to fly. As for me, I initially could only create flames with a lighter and control them. I was just playing with fire. That guy can generate fire on his own and has so many additional skills. In front of him, I can only be the little brother.
I called it.
Whoa! And I'm way more mysterious than you. I am Banshee. I am an alpha level mutant. These fish? I can unleash piercing sonic screams at extremely high decibels. I can use sonic resonance to propel myself through the air. But to do that, I need to wear my sonic glider. I can also use sonar-like echoes to locate targets. It is a lot like how a bat navigates using echolocation. Back at the academy, everyone was introducing their abilities to each other. Soon it was my turn. I'm going to be Banshee.
Why do you want to be named after a wailing spirit?
You might want to cover your ears. I had them cover their ears. I took a deep breath and aimed at the window glass. With a sharp scream, the glass shattered into pieces.
You can avenge him.
At first, Professor X thought we were just a bunch of kids, but after consulting with Magneto, he decided we needed to strike back. Before that, each of us had to fully unlock and control our true potential.
We'll have to train. All of us.
Professor X told me my talent went beyond what I had shown. He said that if I controlled the frequency of my sonic waves precisely, my power could become an unstoppable weapon. Beast designed a glider suit to work with my abilities. I could harness the power of my sonic pushes and soar through the sky. During my first test flight, I only climbed up to a window on the building. Feeling confident, I jumped. But before I could scream, I fell hard to the ground. Professor X said that only from a high enough place could I unlock my potential. We went to a very tall rooftop. I was honestly scared inside. Before I was ready, Magneto pushed me off. I had no choice but to focus and reach my peak state to survive. I began to scream at the right frequency. It worked. Each scream lifted me higher. For the first time, I felt what it meant to truly fly. During the Cuban Missile Crisis battle, I wore my glider suit and flew through the air. I used my sonic screams to scan enemy fleets, submarines, and facilities. I provided reconnaissance and radar enhancement from the sky. I was not the main damage dealer for big targets. I was the aerial control and tactical support corps. I acted as a versatile aerial assistant and harasser. My role was crucial to the team's victory.
Thanks.
No problem. I am Iceman. I am an Omega level mutant. My My ability to control temperature has no limits. I can rapidly drop the surrounding temperature. I can freeze the moisture in the air on the spot. I can shape it into ice walls, ice blades, or ice projectiles. In battle, I cover myself with a layer of ice armor. It boosts my defense. I can even transform into a living form of organic ice. It may look no different from regular ice, but in this state, physical damage barely matters. Even if I am shattered, I can rebuild myself with the water around me or within me. That makes me nearly immortal. People sometimes compare me with Pyro. They think fire can melt ice. On the surface, it looks like he is stronger. But when he plays with fire to impress girls, I can freeze his flames from a distance.
John.
Sorry. There were times I wanted to beat him up for being such a reckless fool. I held back, not because I was weak or afraid. Later, Pyro betrayed us. He chose to follow Magneto, and eventually I had to face him. He flicked a flame from his sleeve, then hurled it straight at me. I rushed to counter with ice. Slowly, I began to lose ground. Pyro laughed at me with arrogance.
You're in over your head, Bobby. I need you to go back to school.
This time, I chose not to hold back. I turned my whole body into ice. I grabbed Pyro by both hands. His hands froze instantly, and he stared at me in shock.
You never should have left.
Even though my ice form is powerful, I still fell before the Sentinels. In the future timeline, the Sentinels began hunting down mutants mercilessly. To protect the ones being chased, I formed an ice slide out of thin air. I shifted into my ice form. I sped along the slide and charged at the Sentinel. I unleashed my freezing power and encased it in ice. I thought victory was mine. But these Sentinels had evolved to copy abilities. It copied Sunspot's power. My ice shattered in an instant. It grabbed my neck, then snapped it even in my ice form. Fortunately, Shadowcat worked with Bishop to send us back in time. That was how I returned. But later, when I stood at the gates to defend Wolverine's mission to change the past, I fought alone. The Sentinels swarmed me. In the end, their beams tore me apart. You might ask why I could not simply rebuild myself from nearby water molecules. After all, my ice form is supposed to be unkillable. That is true. But back then, I was still too young. The Sentinels did not use ordinary weapons. They could evaporate my water molecules in an instant. That meant my body was reduced to nothing but vapor. And with no water left around me, I had no way to come back. Luckily, Wolverine succeeded in resetting the timeline, and I lived once more.
I am Magneto. My core power is controlling magnetic fields. This lets me command metal and all natural phenomena related to magnetism almost at will. I am highly sensitive to the distribution of metal around me. I can sense my environment through changes in magnetic fields. I can even detect shifts in the Earth's magnetic field to find my way. I can control the iron in blood to subdue or kill my enemies. When I was a child, separated from my mother in a Nazi concentration camp, I was overwhelmed with pain. For the first time, in anger, I released my magnetic power and bent an iron gate. This was the first sign of my ability. By chance, the Black King saw it. He brought my mother into a room. He threatened me to show my power immediately or he would kill her. I was so nervous I couldn't control my power. In the end, he killed my mother right in front of me. The intense grief and rage unleashed all my hidden power. As I grew older, I became more skilled at controlling magnetism. I only needed to stand on a plane's landing gear. And with a simple lift of my hand, I pulled a nuclear submarine from beneath the ocean's surface. Then with a strong throw, I hurled the massive sub onto the beach. Of course, it took all my strength at the time. But then I met Apocalypse. He used my hatred and anger to fully turn me dark. Now I can control any magnetic field on Earth. Even metal deep underground can be pulled to the surface by me. The reason I fell under Apocalypse's influence was because of my innocent wife and daughter. We once lived a quiet and happy life, until one day, the furnace at the factory collapsed. I used my powers without hesitation to save people, but a co-worker saw it happen. Soon, my mutant identity was exposed. Soldiers surrounded me and my family. To protect them, I chose to surrender and go with them. At that moment, my daughter's worry made her powers erupt. She unleashed a flock of birds attacking the soldiers. One soldier panicked and loosened his bowstring. The arrows struck my wife and daughter. The two people I loved most were gone.
Nina. No, please.
Rage flooded back into my heart. I picked up my wife's necklace and used my powers to pierce all the soldiers' necks with it. Finally, I returned to the factory. I wanted those who betrayed me to pay, but Apocalypse suddenly appeared behind me. He just rolled his eyes. One by one, the workers were buried underground. Freed from all attachments, I joined his cause. Apocalypse unlocked all my potential. I followed him in trying to destroy the Earth. Luckily, at the last moment, I came to my senses, because a destroyed Earth was not what I wanted. In the end, I joined other mutants to defeat Apocalypse. Now I have the power to destroy the Earth whenever I wish. Many believe I am the strongest, but in front of Jean Grey, I am still weak. Before she fully mastered the Phoenix Force, she accidentally killed Mystique. I was furious. I grabbed my helmet, ready to confront Jean. I angrily pulled metal from the subway to block the entrance. I rose into the air. I controlled metal handrails to stab at Jean Grey. Just when I thought I had her, the metal froze. Then it simply fell. Jean reached out. She squeezed my helmet so tightly, my head hurt badly. Then she opened her head. The helmet shattered into pieces. Moments later, I was thrown far away. That's when I realized I am still too weak against her.
I am Apocalypse, one of the very first mutants in history. My powers weren't awakened by accident. They were born with me. With a wave of my hand, I can level an entire city because I possess the ability to manipulate matter itself. But even I am not immune to time. As my body begins to age, I transfer my consciousness into another mutant host. This keeps me alive and allows me to absorb the powers of my new body. After countless transfers, I have accumulated the abilities of many others. Thousands of years ago, in ancient Egypt, I was worshipped as a god. But during one of my transfers, a group of rebels triggered the collapse of a pyramid. I was buried deep underground. My guardian gave his life to cast a protective shield, preserving my body in stasis, and so I slept for millennia, until one day, a group of loyal followers discovered ruins. Sunlight broke through the stone and reactivated the seal. I rose again. Within minutes, by merely touching a broadcast signal, I learned all of human history and language. I saw how mutants were feared and oppressed, and I decided it was time to reshape the world. My first move was to find a worthy ally. I found Storm, amplified her powers, and made her my first horseman. Next, we found Psylocke and Angel. I enhanced her telekinetic abilities and gave him razor-sharp wings. They became deadlier than ever. But the key to it all was Magneto. He had been living a quiet life factory. One day, he revealed his powers to save a man, but the police reacted in fear. They killed his family by mistake.
No, please, please. Oh, my baby.
In his grief and rage, he slaughtered them all. That was when I appeared. I helped him take revenge, then led him back to the concentration camp of his youth. I awakened the pain buried deep inside him, and with it, his true power. He could now bend the metal buried with the earth itself. He became my strongest weapon. I took control of Professor X's mind. Using his psychic waves, I commanded the world's armies and launched every nuclear weapon into space. Then, I prepared to transfer my mind into Xavier so I could inherit his power of mental domination and control the minds of all humanity. At the same time, Magneto was tearing apart the Earth's surface. Cities crumbled under his power. Everything seemed to be going as planned. But then, he saw what he had become. He remembered what he had lost and realized this wasn't the world he truly wanted. In the end, he turned against me and stood with the X-Men. They attacked me together, but none of them could truly harm me until Jean Grey's Phoenix Force awakened.